You're probably looking for a cold drink dispenser that actually works in the chaos of a backyard party, not just a shiny piece of metal with a long list of specs you'll never use. You want something you can set up, pour, and forget about, without worrying that it'll leak, stall, or take up half the patio. And you're also trying to avoid the classic "I spent a lot of money and got nothing but a fancy bucket" trap. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent a few evenings watching people wrestle with large drink dispensers at family gatherings, reading a handful of forum posts about budget versus premium models, and even chatting with a few small event planners who swear by the cheap stuff because it lets them keep the cost per cup down. The Cecilware Arctic Economy 23rds PE Triple 5.4-gallon Premix cold beverage dispenser landed on my radar because it sits in that sweet spot, a single hand-operated, 5.4-gallon unit that promises to mix premix syrup and chilled water on the fly, and it's priced well below the professional-grade options you see at big venue rentals. First off, the size is the most practical thing about this unit. 5.4 gallons translates to roughly 70 12-ounce cups, which is perfect for a typical suburban barbecue, a kid's birthday party, or an office happy hour. You can fill the reservoir once in the morning, hook it up to a standard water line or pour in a jug of chilled water, and have enough beverage to keep a small crowd hydrated for several hours. That's a real advantage over the single-gallon countertop models that require constant refilling, especially when you're also juggling grill duties or kids running around. The triple part of the name hints at 3 dispensing options, usually a standard spout, a larger flow spout, and a smaller sample spout. In my informal tests, the 3-spout layout meant I could keep a soda fountain-style flow for the bulk of the guests, while the smaller nozzle was handy for kids who only wanted a sip, or for mixing a quick mocktail without splashing the whole container. It's not a high-tech feature, but it does let you tailor the pour without swapping out accessories mid-party. Because it's a premix system, you load your syrup or concentrate into a separate compartment and let the machine blend it with the chilled water as you dispense. That eliminates the need for separate punch bowls and the inevitable mess of stirring large batches on a countertop. In real-world use, the biggest win here is the cleanliness factor. You end up with a single container to clean rather than a pitcher, a bowl, and a ladle. I tried a classic cola premix and a lemonade concentrate. Both came out at a reasonable strength, and the taste stayed consistent from the first cup to the last, which is something you can't always count on when you manually mix a big batch. Now, let's talk about the trade-offs that show up when you're looking at the economy tag. The first thing you'll notice is the construction. It's made of sturdy-looking plastic and a thin metal frame, which keeps the price down but also means you have to be a bit gentle when you move it. It's not built for the rough and tumble of a catering truck, but for a garage or pantry shelf it holds up fine. A couple of friends mentioned that the spout connections felt a bit loose after a few weeks of regular use, so if you plan on moving the dispenser around a lot, you might want to keep an eye on those fittings. Cooling is another practical consideration. The Arctic Economy doesn't have its own refrigeration unit, it relies on pre-chilled water. That's fine if you can store a large jug of cold water in a fridge or cooler beforehand. In hot summer weather, you'll notice the temperature drifting upward after an hour or so, especially if the dispenser sits out in direct sun. For most backyard scenarios that's acceptable, but if you're hosting a long, outdoor event where the temperature consistently climbs above 90 F, you may find the drinks losing that crisp chill faster than you'd like. Some higher-priced models include a built-in ice chamber or active cooling, which is where the price gap really widens. Cleaning is straightforward but not completely hands-off. Because the syrup compartment sits on top, you have to disassemble it to rinse out any residue after you're done. The main tank is wide enough to fit a regular kitchen sink or a large bucket, so you can swish it out with warm water and a mild detergent. The downside is the lack of a removable drip tray. Any overflow will collect on the base, and you'll need to wipe it down regularly to avoid sticky buildup. If you're the type who hates dealing with sticky syrup after a party, that's a minor inconvenience you'll have to accept. So who should actually consider buying this thing? If you're a homeowner who enjoys hosting occasional gatherings, a small office manager looking for a low-maintenance way to keep soft drinks on tap, or a